Hi, good morning, folks. I know it's just hitting 11:30, but we have a few folks still waiting in the waiting room and logging in. So we'll begin in a minute as soon as we feel like we've got everyone logged in. Hi, good morning, everyone. Can see in the corner of my screen, I have a few more folks waiting to join. So we're going to give them about just one more minute and we'll get kicked off as folks log in. Okay, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today on our presentation. This is the second phase of the release of PDE's Roadmap for Instructional Leaders. And today we're looking at the contributions from the Division of Instructional Quality and Division of Assessment and Accountability in the Office of Elementary and Secondary Ed here at PDE. My name is Brian Campbell, and I'm the Director for the Bureau of Curriculum Assessment and Instruction. And it's our team that has put this step together for you, and the presentation you're about to see, and then the good discussions we're about to have afterwards. You know, the focus of assessment, I can tell you, I was preparing and thinking about remarks and things I was going to say to kick this off, and quite honestly, anything that I would have written down or really talked about the last few days probably has blown a lot of that up anyway. If assessment and accountability, because of the announcement by USDE, has kind of moved into the forefront, and I know there's a lot going on in that space and a lot of uncertainty in that space. But I think the one thing that is certain, and the one thing that we really want to focus on, is in a year with waivers and with just some really unique conditions involved in our standardized testing and in accountability that's derived from some of the standardized results. You know, I think the important thing, the focus that a lot of you are going to have is your own, you know, policy, program planning, placement of students, you know, decisions. There's a lot of talk around, you know, we're in a very unprecedented situation with some mandated school closures at the beginning of 2020 into continuity of education in 2020, and then the reopening of schools for the 20 and 21 school year in various modes of instructional delivery, which still continue. We know we've got schools in the range of everything from fully face-to-face 5 days a week to fully online 5 days a week. And, you know, the phrase that kind of gets thrown around a lot is this idea of, you know, unfinished teaching and learning, things that have been missed, gaps. You know, what is the effect of this? And, honestly, it's going to take some time and some research and a lot of things to ever answer that question really solidly and long term. But you don't have that kind of time. We've got kids that are going to come back in the fall, and we're going to have to make some decisions, like we said, programmatically, resource allocation decisions, a lot of important decisions around, these kids learning and our main focus. And I understand the emphasis we've put on mitigation efforts and safety and things like that, and that's absolutely the utmost priority right now in the middle of the pandemic. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and when those things clear, we are going to get back to those instructional decisions. And we think, and you'll see as we roll this out and some other initiatives tied to phase 3 of this roadmap, from assessment accountability, we think a strong local assessment plan and strong local assessments and the ability to use that data is really what's going to drive your instruction, your policy making, and your resource allocation and programming in the next school year and probably beyond. So that's really what we want to focus on today. And I think you'll see the team. We have some really good people here and has done some really good work. And hopefully you walk away with some information that helps you maximize those local assessments and that local data you can pull, to plan for next year in another year of uncertainty. So I appreciate everyone being here, especially in the middle of the day. I know right now how hard it is to get away. And I know all the things you're doing right now as school leaders to, mitigate the day-to-day goings on. So appreciate everyone being here with us. Hopefully everyone finds value in what we're doing, and we all work together to move this forward. So we're going to start with a PowerPoint presentation by the team that outlines a lot about the initiative and a lot about what you can do to gather this data and have a solid local assessment plan. And then we'll have some conversation, both whole group and small group after that. So again, thanks everyone for being here and for your attention. And we're really excited to embark on this with you.
Welcome to PDE's Roadmap for Education Leaders Focus of Assessment presentation. The purpose of this webinar is to engage educators in a discussion related to creating and implementing an assessment plan. A highly developed assessment system includes a balanced approach to using formal and informal assessments, classroom-based evidence showing growth over time, and involving students in the evaluation of their own work. The adoption of a systemic approach enhances the use of assessment data to inform teaching and learning practices. This system should include assessment tools that are congruent with the LEA's goals and curriculum. Click on the Focus on Effective Assessment tab to explore resources. An effective assessment plan identifies both strengths and needs and provides multiple sources of evidence to measure the influence of instruction. When thinking about an assessment plan, the following questions may help guide a discussion. Such assessment practices, whether in person or remote, should be in line with 21st century learning skills and contribute to the success of Pennsylvania students in a world that requires complex skills and abilities. Identifying the assessments given in any school is easy. More difficult is determining why those assessments are administered and how the results are used. Therefore, it is beneficial to think about creating an assessment plan that considers the purpose for assessments, as well as a description of how the results are to be used. It is the responsibility of each LEA to create and maintain an assessment plan that is board approved. The template you see on the screen is an example of an assessment plan. Note the first row includes an assessment example. As you are crafting or reviewing your assessment plan, consider the 4 types of assessment. Diagnostic assessments ascertain prior to instruction each student's strengths, weaknesses, knowledge, and skills. Establishing this knowledge permits the teacher to adjust instruction to meet students' needs. Benchmark assessments are designed to provide feedback to both the teacher and the student about how the student is progressing toward demonstrating proficiency on grade level standards. Well-designed benchmark assessments measure the degree to which a student has mastered a given concept. Formative assessments are used by teachers and students during instruction to provide feedback to adjust ongoing teaching and learning to improve students' achievement of intended instructional outcomes. Summative assessments seek to make an overall judgment of progress made at the end of a defined period of instruction. They occur at the end of a school level, grade, or course, or are administered at certain grades for purposes of state or local accountability. Depending on the purpose of the assessment and how the data is used, an assessment may fall within 2 different categories. An assessment plan typically includes summative, formative, benchmark, and diagnostic assessments as discussed on the previous slide. It should provide a range of assessments that have been evaluated for their purposes to ensure that there is no unnecessary redundancy or overlap, or that important skill areas are missing. And the plan should provide curricular alignment with particular emphasis within and among grade levels. Assessment considerations. Take a few minutes to read the questions on the slide. It is important to keep in mind assessment considerations as you develop, review, and implement the assessment plan. Pennsylvania offers educators valuable free resources. The Pennsylvania Classroom Diagnostic Tools, CDTs, is a set of online assessments divided by content area designed to provide diagnostic information in order to guide instruction, remediation, and/or acceleration. CDT reports provide a snapshot of student performance relative to the Pennsylvania Assessment Anchors and Eligible Content and Keystone Assessment Anchors and Eligible Content. These diagnostic reports provide valuable information typically not identified through other types of assessments. Teachers, through the use of CDT reports, may access additional information through the learning progression maps, a resource that allows teachers to pinpoint where students are currently on the learning continuum. Click on the CDTs tab to explore the resources. The SAS Assessment Center allows registered users to create and build assessments by searching the PDE database of standards-aligned items and/or creating their own assessment items. Teachers can create a check for understanding and share out to students via a web link. All assessments can be stored in My Assessments, with the ability to edit and share with colleagues. Click on the SAS Assessment tab to access the Assessment Center. Meeting assessment expectations and building quality assessments using the tools found in the SAS Assessment Center may require deeper understanding about assessment construction processes. Information found in the SAS Assessment Literacy training modules will support the designing and building of quality assessment questions in the SAS Item Creator or the selecting of items for a test or quiz as available in the Assessment Builder. Click on the Assessment Literacy tab to explore the resources. Analyzing data requires that it be organized in ways that make it easy to understand and interpret. Schools can identify specific professionals, for example, data analysts, instructional coaches, or psychologists, to put the data into charts or graphs, perhaps by grade level. Such organization is important as it provides teachers reviewing this data to be able to make important interpretations easily and effectively. During this analysis phase, assessment results can be examined to look for patterns and trends. The following questions will guide discussion related to data collection and analysis. Click on the Data Protocol Process tab to explore the resources. Interpretation of data is made by teachers who can identify areas of strength and academic need and present other data from classroom observations or informal measures that can be used to validate current results and conclusions. They can make plans about how to use those results to plan instruction and may also consider the need for additional assessments. The CDT data that you see on the screen may provoke some questions such as, how does the data influence instruction in the classroom? What other data might teachers share to broaden understanding and enhance interpretation? Is there a need to regroup students or adjust instruction as a result of data analysis? What additional assessment tools are needed to identify learning gaps? The filter function in the CDT can be used to answer the question, is there a need to regroup students or adjust instruction as a result of data analysis? This action populates the corresponding eligible content associated with the scores of the students in the group. Change the filter for a new range of scaled scores and the corresponding eligible content is produced. This provides the answer to the question, is there a need to regroup students or adjust instruction as a result of data analysis, and specifies what essential skills to target for each of the instructional groups. One of the most important uses of assessment is its value in informing instruction. data analysis may reveal a need for a change in instructional practice. This slide provides 5 examples that teachers may consider. Some of the examples that were provided on the previous slide may require professional development for teachers to implement change. Therefore, specialized and contextually relevant professional learning about instruction, interpretation, and use of data must be provided for practicing teachers and administrators. On the screen, you can see some examples of professional development that may be afforded to staff. In the resource, Using Student Achievement Data to Support Instructional Decision-Making, the authors provide an example of robust topics for effective data analysis. Continual monitoring and adjusting are essential to the efficacy of the assessment process. This recursive process must include 3 essential elements: collecting and analyzing assessment data to determine students' level of functioning and need, matching student needs to evidence-based practices, and monitoring progress and continually adjusting the match between need and evidence-based practices. LEAs must remember that we are addressing these 3 crucial questions. How do I know if it's working? If so, what's next? If not, how can I remedy it? It is crucial for LEAs to proactively and effectively communicate with and empower parents and families so students' needs can be met. While all 3 of these questions are essential, most important is, how do we acknowledge the successes of our students? PDE can support the continuity of education with various resources, including those listed on the screen. For more information on the Roadmap for Education Leaders, please visit PDE's website at www.education.pa.gov.
Okay, well, that's the end of our presentation here. So now the next step of our series, we will be breaking into breakout rooms and each facilitator has some assigned questions. This is the end of our presentation and we will not be coming back into the large group. So before we do that, just a few housekeeping items. In chat right now is the document for the facilitators' questions. So some of the questions that we will be having, it is in a Word document. So if you'd like to access that right now, in fact, I think it's a Google Doc. If you'd like to access that right now, in the event that you would like to take some notes on it or something of that nature, by all means do so. And then we do ask, there are some directions here for our breakout room discussions. We were trying to separate some of our breakouts into rural, urban, or suburban districts. So if you can right now, please go to your name and the 3 dots up on top and rename yourself as to whether it be rural, suburban, or urban. And that way we can disaggregate you into common breakout rooms.